Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The World Without People. My name is Ayomide, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today for what I'm calling a bonus episode. Last week, I spoke to my guest, Yeside Agbola, and we talked about sexual education. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, but I had one question for her that did not make that cut. And this question was centered around her business. It's called Ilekedi, and in this episode, she just really talks with so much passion about this business that she started, and I felt that it was important that you guys listen to it. I think it really describes what passion is, what love is, doing what you love, and how doing what you love can bring value. So if there are many of you out there who are entrepreneurs thinking about what it is that you want to do, thinking about how you can merge your passion and what you love to also making money, I hope you listen to this and I hope you learn a lot from it and just maybe get that passion once again and go out there and do what you love. The money will come, everything else will work out, and this is such a testimony about that. I felt it was important to separate this and listen to this on its own. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you again yesterday for joining us and sharing this message.
And so you are talking tradition now, and I just want to remind you that my mom used to tell me back then when I was like, oh, please bring waist beads for me, that it was only, those kind of women that wore waist beads.
What kind of women? Say them. Say it.
I don't know.
Don't be shy.
I don't know. So
what kind of women? No. It's not. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
no. Usually it's women that still other people's wives kind of thing, right? Like, at least that's the one that I know of. But I hear it, especially now, because I swear there's this one that people talk about. I don't know its name, but basically it's supposed to be a bead that is supposed to be doing something or the other for women.
Doing what?
I don't know. I actually don't know. But I'm serious. I actually do not know. Anyways, I say all of this to say, how are you? Like, why did you want to start a beads company, and how is it okay? Like, demystify it for us, maybe, is the word to say.
So Ilekedi is literally Ileke is bead. Idi is bottom, but it's also waist. Is also like the pelvic region.
Right.
So Ilekedi are waist beads, or beads worn on the waist, right? Now, you said tradition. I want to go back, right? To our ancestors and our foremothers. These are adornments. Think of them as the original African lingerie. Women wore this to adorn themselves for a number of reasons. In some cultures, in the Yoruba culture, women have been wearing waist beads for centuries, right? There are cultures in which women wear girls are given waist beads when they hit puberty, when they're coming into womanhood, as a sign of them now being a woman. There are cultures, even, and I'm saying this as variations, even within Yoruba culture. In some parts of Yoruba land, children, when they're born, girls, waist beads are put on them. And these waist beads will be getting, as they're growing older, as their waist is getting bigger, it will be getting tight. They will cut it, they will string another one. It was to help, like, kind of indicate growth. It was also a way, they believed, to shape her waist. Now, the British came and the white people came, and everything African was demonized, and it was seen. Don't get me wrong, I take it back. There's another part of waist beads. Waist beads were central, right? In the Yoruba tradition, waist beads are not worn outside, meaning nobody except yourself and your husband would see your waist beads, or maybe other women that you maybe anybody you couldn't get naked in front of should not see your waist beads. Now, in the Igbo culture, women wear waist beads on top of their. So I'm just trying to show you that there's a whole spectrum of waist beads, and waist beads are worn all over the African continent. So when a woman shows her waist beads to her husband, sometimes it's shown as a way of, if I let him pick a little bit at it, he knows that, I am, trying to attract him to my bed. If I, it's been said that men could hold on to the waist beads during sex, when a woman is shaking her waist, or if a woman is on top, or during sex and the beads are moving and they're making a sound, it's a very pleasurable sound for them and their partner. women who wear waist beads are usually more sensual, just even in the way they walk, in the way they carry themselves. There's something about wearing waist beads that puts you, it's sitting in your pelvic area. It puts you in touch with it. It reminds you of your femininity. You're getting in touch with your inner goddess. And so the way you walk, the way you carry yourself is alluring. I'm getting to the origin of this women that wear waist beads are husband snatchers. Because what has happened is that, again, right, with the British coming and colonialism and them colonizing our minds, anything African traditional, all our practices were seen as either idol worship or just, they're not moral. They are, just everything bad. Everything African, everything traditional was bad. So our moms went to schools, and they were told not to speak, vernacular, and they were told to stop doing XYZ, and they didn't wear, right now I'm talking to you, I'm wearing adire. Right. Our moms had stopped. They were wearing English prints, and they were wearing, suits, and they were, wearing wigs, because they tried to be as Anglo as possible. So of course, waist beads were demonized. Now, imagine a woman, your husband now or the person you like is now with this other woman. Imagine that someone's husband was snatched. Although I don't believe that somebody can be snatched, because they're not an object. You choose to walk into the snatching, but that's besides the point. Now, this person, you now see that the woman has waist bead. You say, you see, it's the waist bead. It's the waist bead. Now, don't get me wrong. There are waist beads that people claim have mystical powers. Have you heard that there are even waist beads that can prevent pregnancy? I was told that, like, back in the day, yes, women there's certain waist beads that will be soaked in particular herbs, because waist beads, then they're strung with string, right? Mm-hmm. Cotton thread. So that waist bead will be soaked in certain herbs, and those herbs will prevent pregnancy. I haven't tried it, but recently, I'm telling you, just recently, within the last month, somebody sent me a post from somewhere about someone that sells beads that she claims to be birth control. I have to open my mind, because again, it's very easy for us in the health and medical community to dismiss these things, just the same way we're dismissive of Agbo, and we're dismissive of all these ancient practices that have actually worked for our people. As opposed to dismissing it, I prefer to open my mind and say, okay, it's possible. And then think of how could it work? There could be some herbs that could help in contraceptives, right? And perhaps the body is absorbing it through the skin or something, because let's open our mind. If we're just so quick to dismiss it, then we also have not left colonialism. We're still allowing the whites to colonize our minds. Yeah. So again, right? Waist beads have a whole bunch of uses and functions, and the history is quite rich. The reason I went into waist beads is very simple. I love waist beads. I've loved them since I was in secondary school. My mom hated them. Mm-hmm. Hated them because of what they stood for. Loose women wear waist beads. Decent women don't wear waist beads, don't wear anklets. They don't pierce, they don't put multiple holes in their ears. They don't pierce their noses. That's what we were told. That's what we're taught. That's what they thought. That's what they were taught. And they never expanded their minds to see anything else. They just went with it. So when you asked your mom for waist beads, I used to ask my mom for waist beads. When I was in college, I went to the US at 14 and a half. And I would, when I'll write a list when they come to visit, I'm like, oh, I want this. I'll put waist beads on my list. And my mom would say, never. She wouldn't even. I remember when I was in secondary school, the first set of ones I got, she cut them. But I've always loved them. And I had this aunt. My aunt would find out that I wanted them and she would send them to me. So I'd been wearing waist beads. So I continued wearing waist beads. My sisters and I would wear. But over the years, as I have matured, my taste has been refined. Mm-hmm. And I started to see that the waist beads I was buying in the market did not match the type of jewelry I put on outwardly. Mm-hmm. I love jewelry. If you look at me, you will know that I love jewelry. I love jewelry. But the beads I was seeing in the market were not to the standard of what I wanted. And at some point I stopped wearing waist beads. Then years later, my mom died. My mom passed away. And my dad remarried. My stepmom is a bead maker. She makes jewelry, necklaces, all the ones you wear to weddings, all the big ones and all of that. Yeah, she's a big maker. Shout out to Nemo Gems Haberdashery and Nemo bespoke jewelry. And so what I used to do was I would now say, oh, please, do you have very small beads? Do you have very, very small beads? And of course, the quality of the beads that she's using is exquisite, right? And I don't know why we felt like, oh, it's only the ones that we show, the beads that we show on display that should be exquisite. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So I would then ask, do you have tiny corals? And I'll see them, sometimes you see some of these neck pieces, you have like 10 layers of tiny coral. I'm like, why can't I wear this on my waist? Do you see small little crystals, Swarovski, beautiful, shiny, that don't fade. So what I would do was I would ask for them to please string those for me, for my waist. I would wear it and somebody would want to call, and then maybe, of course, you have friends and all of that, somebody will see it and say, yesterday, oh my God, or I'll tell somebody about it and they will want some. And so my stepmom and I now said, I wonder if, this could be a business. Like yesterday with the matter, Ilekedi, in English, yesterday, why are you not waist beads? I was like, please, I'm a service provider, right. I already have a 9-to-5 where I work in, the HIV space. I already run Olori Coitus, which is also a service. I don't think I can I've never worked in retail. I have never, ever worked in retail. I've always worked in service. So I thought, I can't sell because I don't want people to owe me. I don't want to be, talking to customers and somebody will abuse me. I also thought I just didn't have the time. And she said, you know what? Why don't you just start small? Bring money that you can afford to lose. Right. I started with 25,000 in 2019. 25,000 naira. She took me to her suppliers. So grandma, so that is Nana's mom, she sells beads, not made beads, but she used to be in China. Her husband was the Nigerian ambassador to China. So she had contacts in China, in Taiwan, Turkey, and so she sold beads to retailers in Nigeria. So I was able to tap into her network. She even sold me some of my first beads. I was able to, buy some from her and buy some from some people that she supplied to. And we started. And so we started with just a few. I opened an Instagram page. Like, what's the name? I was like, Ilekedi. And they're like, come up with something. Like, why don't you, make it something? I'm like, no, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. It's going to be Ilekedi. Because I want to own the name. I want the name. I wanted to take away the negative connotation of it. Awesome. And make it into something that's beautiful, that women will celebrate, that will celebrate women and our bodies and our power and what we, the sacredness, celebrating us, man. It's so easy for us to, look at our bodies and think, look at my belly after 3 children. But I put on my waist beads and they shine and they twinkle. I use the best quality beads I can find. My beads are not cheap. When people come and say, oh, it's expensive, I say, I understand what you're saying. They're not expensive. They're just not, this is not for you. Yeah. Feel free to go to other bead sellers or go to the market to buy the ones you want. But I know the quality. Even if it looks the same on Instagram, carry it. When you feel the weight, you understand the difference. Because I can't be wearing 18 karat gold on my ears, on my hand, and I will be wearing Penkelemes beads. That was the motivation for it. And God has been so good. We have evolved. We have a website. We go to, trade shows. We're always at like all the big fashion events in Lagos in terms of, fashion retail events. The people have welcomed it so much. There's so many people that said, oh my God, I used to love it when I was a kid, but I felt so bad about wearing it. Oh my God. Even older women. The revelation is people my mom's age who said, I used to think these things were for bad girls and bad ladies. It will be interesting because now they're 50 plus, 60
Yeah.
plus, they don't have to answer to anybody anymore. They're coming back into their own. And I love, our generation, and especially Gen Zs, they don't care. These babes are wearing their beads outside of their clothes. Like, they'll wear a skirt and put the beads on top of the skirt. Whereas, the older people are wearing it under and saying, I don't want anybody to see it. So can you make it look? I wouldn't want it to peek out when I bend down, And the young people are like, I'm going to wear it on my high waist and wear my crop top with it. So it's been a revelation, and I'm so happy. I feel so fulfilled when I do it. It's a labor of love, really, and it has surprisingly become a very lucrative business. I'm going to tell you. Very, very lucrative, I thank God. And I've been able to, and I'm hoping to be able to even expand outside of not just Nigeria. We ship to any country in the world from Nigeria, but we even want to do more and, spread it more, because now you see in the Americas, people are, especially like the African American community, are understanding, the beauty of waist beads and getting more in touch with their feminine sides and their African sides, and, talking about intentions and things like that. And it's really great to see something that is so, so purely African, very Yoruba, going to the world. So yes, I love it.
Awesome. And you sound very, very passionate about it. I need to go order mine.
We're open 24/7. We ship to all countries in the world, sis.
Awesome.
Yes, check them out at ilekedi.com, and you can find all of this info on our website or on the description page of this show.